Things will only get harder, but you will get better. Let me repeat that. Things will only get harder, but you'll get better. I think to myself when I hear that, a lot of things. And this can be related to a lot of different things that's currently in my life, or even something that you as an individual that may deal with. Rather that's your faith, my faith, your success, my success, situations in your life, situations in my life, regardless of what it is, things are only going to continue to get harder. I don't think there's going to be ever a point of time as you grow older and as an adult that things will get easier. You know, what they say, more money, more problems, you know, bigger problems, bigger the business, bigger business, more stress. At the end of the day, I think as an individual, you continue to evolve as a human. Rather, that's like I said, with your faith. As you grow, as you want to become closer with God, learning more and more about Him becomes harder as a struggle. You know, understanding the Word is a struggle. At least for me, understanding the Bible was one of the biggest things that I struggle with. And I'm more of a visual learner, so that led me to, you know, understanding and watching more videos as far as visually explaining the Bible, because there are so many different stories that are being told within this one book. It allowed me to understand it at a better rate, I guess you could say. And that is a prime example in terms of things will get harder, but you'll just get better. And as I gradually started to learn more and more about the Word, I got better. I started to see truth. I started to understand exactly the word that He was saying and started to live through that. And that's what with business, that's what relationships currently in life. I think you're always going to experience things that are going to get harder and harder and harder that will test your character day in and day out. And it's up to you to be able to figure out how you go about it, how you take it. You either fall for it or you fall and you get back up and you learn. And that is the true reality of things will get harder. I don't think anything in life will just become something that is extremely easy. What might seem easy to you may have taken that person 10 years of just hard work of eating shit that now appears easy to you, but even then for them, it's still something that's hard, because at the end of the day, I don't think as humans you will ever reach the top of something. You look at, you know, big time athletes like Tom Brady, for say, someone who played the game for years and years. I mean, shit, before I was even a kid, was in a game 20, 30 plus years, retired and came back into it, right? It was harder for him to stay out of it versus for him to be in it. And as you can see, as far as someone like that, the love for the game, it would only get harder. Like, as you could probably imagine someone who's been in the game for that long, have all the millions and millions of dollars in the world. Why would you want to go back to a sport that you love? I mean, that goes to show you, like, the reality of that truly shows you it's only going to get harder, regardless if you've seen it from an outside, someone like myself who's seen, like, oh, this athlete has this, has that. But the truth reality is it only got harder for him because that's something that he was used to. And I think that plays a tie to just a lot of things in just our current life and in our current world. I don't think anything is ever easy. I think it's going to build character. The more and more you can accept that, the faster you can accept that. And that's one thing that I've accepted. Just, you know, growing up, how I was raised, I don't look at anything as a bad thing. I guess bad, I don't know if bad is the best way to describe it, but I don't look at anything or any way I was raised as like, I wish I could have done this differently, or I wish this was done differently, because the hard times of seeing that really, really shaped me to who I am, right? And I don't look for anything as far as easy. I like to be able to feel like I could work for something or work towards something, because being handed something just doesn't feel as rewarding versus overcoming whatever you went through, regardless of whatever that situation may have been, and then seeing the top of that and then wanting more, and then realizes it's going to get harder as the levels progress. And that's just the way of life, and that's the way of levels of life. Because there's levels to any game we play. That's levels to your faith. It's levels to your success. It's levels to your fitness. It's levels to your mental. It's levels to so many things in this world that there's always going to be wanting more. There's always going to be a top that you may not ever touch. But throughout all this, it will get harder and harder and harder. But you'll just get better. And that's the beauty of all of it. That's the beauty of the entire quote. I feel as if it's always going to be hard. There's never going to be something that's going to be easy. There's always going to be that next thing. There's always going to be, okay, how do I accomplish and how do I get to point A to point B to point C to point D to point F to point G, so on and so forth. But it would never be to the point where, okay, I got to point A, I'm just going to walk to point B to walk to point. It's just never going to be that way. And I think if you can accept that early on as a kid, not even as a kid, as an individual, as a teen, or even I started to accept it when I was kind of understanding in terms of my situation of how I was raised and things like that, at the age of 15. Of course, people were going to start to not realize it earlier ages or maybe a later age. Some people never even realize it. But I think the sooner you're able to realize things are only going to get harder, you'll just get better. And I don't even think you can get worse as a person. I think you can become very stagnant. I don't think you could go down as a person. I think you can become low mentally, but I don't ever think there's going to be a point of time if you reach a certain climax and then you just sink down. I do believe in rock bottom, but I don't believe in everything that you gain up here, you just completely lose it up here. And you can, but I don't believe there's always going to be just a ground hit to it, right? I think you're still going to have something that you take away from the being at the high, then hitting the low again, and be able to kind of build yourself back to that baseline. And you get better from there, right? You hit rock bottom, you come back up, and now you become better again as an individual. But yeah, it was just a yapping session I just had. I don't even know what I was basically trying to get at, but I just love that quote so much because, and I don't even know who said the quote. I just one day was thinking, I'm just like, damn, this shit's only going to get harder. But as it's harder, I'm just starting to learn myself and become so much better. And that's the reality of it. So, bye.